is the Biafra national anthem.
Seven rows, 14 rows, 21 rows. I love to go. One, beat.
Onye duru anyị wee bịa njem na Amerịka. Anyị bịa ka ibe leta nwanne anyị nwoke bụ nna anyị n'obodo a. Bụ onye anyị nwụrịla anya na nchekwube na eziokwu nke ya nwa na onye ji guzo. N'eziokwu a ga na-edu ụmụ Biafra na-aga n'ihu. Ọ ga na-edu IPOB na-aga n'ihu. Anyị bịara n'ụlọ ya nabata anyị. Were obi ọcha na obi udo wee nabata anyị. Anyị na-asị na ọ ga-adịrị ya na mma na ezinụlọ ya na mma. Anyị na-asị na ihe ọwụla anyị chọrọ bịa mere ka anyị ga-enwetarịrị ya. N'ihi na ihe anyị na-ekwu okwu mgbe na-ewu n'ọnwụ ndụ mmiri ndụ azụ. Nwa mmụọ emegbula nwa mmadụ, nwa mmiri emegbula nwa mmụọ. Ihe anyị na-ekwu. Anyị na-asị na Biafra ga-abịara na ndụ na-awụghị n'ọnwụ. Anyị ga-eri uru ọmụmụ. Anyị ga-eri uru akụ na ụba n'ime Biafra. Anyị na-asị na onye ọwụla pụtara na sị na Biafra agaghị adị, onye ahụ agaghị adị. Anyị anaghị asị emebere ugo obere nke si bebere ka ya gosi nke ọ ga-ebe. Anyị na-asị na nkụ ga-ekwe ọ ga-edo ọ ga-anwụ. Ọ bụ eziokwu ka anyị ji na-aga njem a. Ọ bụ ịhụnanya ka anyị ji na-aga ofu obi. Anyị na-asị onye ọbụla hụrụ eziokwu ji ide eziokwu aka, n'ihi na ọ bụ eziokwu bụ ndụ, ọ bụghị okwu asị. Anyị na-asị na ọ ga-ada anyị niile na mma. Anyị ga-ahụ echi n'ihi na echi anaghị agwụ agwụ. Anyị na-arịọ Chukwu okike abịa ma ka onye anyị ndụ nye anyị ahụ isi ike, nye anyị ngọzi nke ya, nye anyị ịhụnanya. Ekpere niile ka anyị na-ekpe ọwụ ka onye bi n'ime eluigwe ka o wee nụrụ olu anyị, wee gbatara anyị ọsọ enyemaka, wee zọpụta anyị na mkpa niile nke na-akpa anyị nke bụ Biafra. Anyị na-asị na ikpete maazụ anyị ga-enye aha nsị ụtụtụ na nsọpụrụ na-eji ama site n'ebighị ebi ma ruo n'ebighị
Amalike Biafra.
Biafra Republic! Biafra Republic! Biafra Republic! Biafra Republic!
What does Biafra mean?
It means freedom, liberty, fairness, equity, and justice.
In practical terms, these are very good sounding words, but in practical terms, what does Biafra mean?
Confederation.
So, a weak center,
Very weak.
very strong regions.
Absolutely.
Have you had a change of mind, therefore, about getting an independent Biafra? Because that's what I seem to be hearing.
No, I've not changed my mind, no. And independent Biafra means going back to where we were before the white man came.
Okay, so you're not talking about a federation when you say a confederation. You're not talking about a federation as part of Nigeria. You're talking about total independence.
Absolute independence.
Complete independence. Now, is there anything that can happen that will make you change your mind about this particular direction?
No.
So it is either Biafra or nothing
Or
else.
death, yes.
Or death.
That's good.
If push comes to shove,
Yes.
will you go to war?
No, because truth is a far more potent and deadlier weapon than bullets and mortars.
So
Truth.
no war. You've ruled out the
Absolutely, I don't
war.
believe in war. No, no war. When I say Biafra order, then I'll keep pushing. Either I am alive, I die in the process, I won't stop. Allow me to repeat, if you don't mind. Had sovereign national conference been convened by the powers that be, where every ethnic nation, I said every, I don't care if there are 600, I don't care. Everyone is
All the
represented.
500 plus.
Everyone together to say this is, or others can delegate, I don't know, powers to other people to attend on their behalf. Sit down to say, what type of country do we want? Sit down, discuss, agree. I can begin to perhaps submit to your
Is it
position.
too late?
It is way too late. They've killed too many people. They've ruined too many lives. They've wasted too many souls. How do we bring those people back?
If the federal government, given the agitation that is going on, becomes convinced that, you know what, these people have a point, it is time to actually address all these issues, and they begin to systematically address some of these issues, would you change your mind?
No, because of the deceptions of the past.
No trust.
No trust. Aburi was there, it was negotiated. Nothing happened. 1968, if I recall. And the confab report, what became of it? How about the 3 R's? Reconciliation, reconstruction, and heaven knows what else. What became of them? Nothing. Calabar Seaport is not working. Can you tell me why it's not working? It's a seaport used by the colonial masters. Why is it not working today? How about Iguacha Seaport? Why is it not being used? Why not worry? Why must we allow only Lagos to function as a viable seaport? In England, where I used to live, you had Liverpool, you had the Sun, which is Portsmouth, you had Southampton. Everywhere you had harbors and ports. So why must you have only one?
I've heard people say these are very valid arguments, and that these are things that are to do with bad governance. So the average Biafran, to use your phrase, or Igbo man in the Igbo, is facing poverty much in the same way that the average guy in Yobe State is facing poverty. And so these are issues of governance. You don't agree with that?
I agree completely.
Okay. So if that is it, why isn't the agitation about tackling the problem, which is ensuring good governance, perhaps starting from locally? Because part of the allegations against you is that you don't confront your political leaders in the East, and you'd like to blame Abuja for everything.
Because the way I would want to solve a problem is not how a Fulani man would want to solve it.
You really believe this is an ethnic thing, and the approach is different?
No, the approach is different. No, it's not ethnic. It is more to do with value system.
Right.
The way you may want to solve a problem could be markedly different from how I do mine.
What is the geographical makeup of Biafra? as far as you are concerned, this Biafra that you want? So, for example, if we're doing a referendum, where will that referendum take place? Is it only the 5?
It's on, no.
It's okay.
It's on, which is River State, Biafra, Delta, Anambra, Imo, Enugu, Ebonyi, Cross River.
Akwa Ibom?
And Akwa Ibom, of course. Yes.
Right.
Those are the coastal. Basically.
Bayelsa?
Yes. Southeast and South-South without Edo State.
Without Edo State.
That's correct. And then including Igede, Idoma.
Right, the Benues. So the Igalas and part of the Kogi state, right?
Yeah.
Nyesom Wike, the governor of Anambra, sorry, the governor of River State, made a statement, I think it was yesterday or the day before yesterday, and said, you know, you should not be including River State and the River people.
Not him. I can decide for Biafrans. You have to go and vote and convince the whole world that they want Biafra. It's not for instance, it's only one man, one vote.
But what if they're not even willing to take part in the referendum? Because I've had people from the South, for example, from Bayelsa. I've had people from Cross River. I think there's a famous actress, Kate Henshaw, for example, wrote a long piece about why people of the South don't want to be dragged into a place called Biafra. You're saying, regardless of what they say, you want a referendum in those parts?
Because I know the majority of the people want a referendum. I was in Iguacha yesterday.
How do you know?
I was there yesterday. I was in Iguacha yesterday. You call Port Harcourt. I was there yesterday. I should have been there to see what happened.
Now,
they were delighted to see me. I'm sure you know that. It's all over the place. They're very happy to see me. I bet Kate Henshaw wouldn't get such reception. Where she to go to?
She's a big, popular Nollywood actress. I wouldn't.
Oh, Mary, Abakare, Mama Baora, Unabori Mary Nandi win the war. Python that's 1, Python that's 2, now Python that's 3. Unabori Mary Nandi win the war. Python that's 1, Python that's 2, now Python that's 3. Unabori Mary Nandi. Nandebu onyedu aimo omeri wonenizu ndiroya abakare mamandahora unaburi meri nandi win the war. Python that's 1, Python that's 2, now Python that's 3. Unaburi meri nandi win the war. Python that's 1, Python that's 2, now Python that's 3. Unaburi meri nandi.
Biafra Republic! Biafra Republic! Biafra Republic! Biafra Republic!
We are going to do wonders. I want you all to understand that we are in a very big battle. Battle for freedom is not for lily-livered people. It's not for kids. Battle for freedom, they throw bombs, rockets for people to get freedom. So freedom is not meant for people that are too emotional. It's not meant for people that somebody will talk this and talk that and they begin to shiver. No. I am born for Biafra to come. And I'm going to help Mazi Nnamdi Kanu to get Biafra. Believe me. Go and mark today's date. I want to assure Biafrans, so long as you continue to stand on your freedom, I will be there for you. So long as you continue to maintain that you have a right to live, I, Simon Ekpa, will be there any day, anytime. Attach IPOB. I want to send this particular message to be very, very clear to the Nigerian state today, so that mentioning Biafra government, they continue to write IPOB. We have made it very clear, and let me also use this opportunity to say it as it is for people, for them, because they continue to use IPOB. We are not IPOB as an organization. We are government of Biafra in exile and the Biafra de facto government in the homeland. We are not IPOB as an organization. IPOB is indigenous people of Biafra, and this government represents indigenous people of Biafra as a nation and as a people, not as organization. And that should be made very, very clear in case they are not understanding. So not when we do something under this government, do not attach IPOB as an organization to it. I want to send this particular message to be very, very clear to the Nigerian state today, so that they should be addressing whatever we are doing properly to the Biafra government, not attaching IPOB to it. IPOB is a registered organization, and we have moved from there to a government, and that's where we are today. So stop linking us to an organization called IPOB, which is a Nigeria political pressure group. And today, they are no longer relevant in Biafra struggle, because you have used them for many years to kill our people, use them as sacrifice, only to put for a particular political interest. That particular time has ended. And if the Biafra agitation was a joke, we have made it a reality. It is no longer a joke. Under my leadership, it is not a joke. Thank you very much, everyone. God bless you. So avoiding mentioning Biafra government, they continue to write IPOB. We have made it very clear, and let me also use this opportunity to say it as it is for people, for them, because they continue to use IPOB. We are not IPOB as an organization. We are government of Biafra in exile and the Biafra de facto government in the homeland. We are not IPOB as an organization. IPOB is indigenous people of Biafra, and this government represents indigenous people of Biafra as a nation and as a people, not as organization. And that should be made very, very clear in case they are not understanding. So not when we do something under this government, do not attach IPOB as an organization to it. I want to send this particular message to be very, very clear to the Nigerian state today, so that they should be addressing whatever we are doing properly to the Biafra government, not attaching IPOB to it. IPOB is a registered organization, and we have moved from there to a government, and that's where we are today. So stop linking us to an organization called IPOB, which is a Nigeria political pressure group. And today, they are no longer relevant in Biafra struggle, because you have used them for many years to kill our people, use them as sacrifice, only to put for a particular political interest. That particular time has ended. And if the Biafra agitation was a joke, we have made it a reality. It is no longer a joke. Under my leadership, it is not a joke. Thank you very much, everyone. God bless you.
Confirmation.
Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us on today's program. I appreciate everyone that has connected wherever you are connecting from. If you are joining us from any part of the world, more especially from Biafra land. We appreciate you. Wherever you are connecting to this program from, I welcome you, I appreciate you, and I thank you for joining us and being part of this program. May Chukwu Okike Abiyama continue to guide and protect everyone that has connected. My fellow Biafrans, we have come once again, as we always do, to preach the gospel of Biafra. We have come to spread the message of Biafra and the other people. That is what we have signed up for. To remind you of the situation on the ground, to remind you of the responsibility we have, to remind you that the time, the appointed time has come. Wherever you are on this planet Earth, and you know you are from the old southeastern region, which is today's present south-south, southeast, lower Benue, and lower Kogi. If you find yourself in this territory, you are a Biafran. Nothing can change it. It does not matter what you say. It does not matter what you think. It does not matter the nickname you give to yourself. You are entitled to take any nickname you like. But I can bet you that the gods of the land, Biafran government, recognize you as a Biafran. Remember the word of our Prime Minister. Southeast, we are not. Southwest, south, we will never be. But Biafra, we have become. Always remember that word from our Prime Minister. Today, as we are moving into the major deal, as the date is fast approaching, the 2nd of December, which we know is the D-Day, the Biafran people are still turning out for the self-referendum as planned. Already, we have more than 50 million votes still counting. And when we talk about these votes, it is verifiable. There are evidence and facts to show. It is not just because we are saying it. For those of you who do not know, some investigative journalists have gone on the ground to investigate if actually we are conducting referendum or not. And they have come out with their result. They confirm that the Biafran government is conducting a peaceful and successful self-referendum. That is why that referendum has been endorsed. Because of the success of that self-referendum, the zoo get confused. The government of Biafra, under our Prime Minister, Ekpa, outsmarted them. Before they knew what would happen, it was too late. The self-referendum have gained the recognition. Our date for the declaration of the restoration of independence is fixed, 2nd of December. It is going to happen within the time frame of the convention, which will take place November, December. In that same convention, the final result of the self-referendum will be called, and the whole world and the media will see the result, how it goes. After that result pronounced and self-referendum ended, the declaration of the restoration of independence of Biafra will be made unapologetically, without waiting for any approval from anybody. And after that declaration, Biafra land will be defended. For a very long time, the pursuit for the restoration of Biafra has been online, only to come online and shout, all hail Biafra, and everybody will dismiss. There has never been any seriousness the way it is now. Biafra cannot be fought online alone. We are looking for a country that will compete with other countries of the world. A country that will compete with other countries of the world. And for you to get such a country, you must follow all the legal procedures. You must follow all the legal procedures. That is why you see what is happening today under our Prime Minister, Mazi Simon Ekpa. Every legal procedure is being followed for the restoration of the independent state of Biafra. The whole world is watching. The zoo called Nigeria is scared and afraid. They are shaking and quaking. They do not know what to do. That is why they now embark on propaganda and blackmail, including their IPOB Nigeria. My fellow Biafrans, you must be prepared for the propaganda that is going to come. Pharaoh will never let go. Don't think it's going to be easy. It is not going to be easy. The battle is going to intensify by day. But in the midst of those battles, we are going to win. Most important thing you should know is that you must not get distracted. Remember the word of our Prime Minister, our Supreme Amazon Nandekan. Consistency is the key. And we thank Chukwu Okeke that Mazen Nandekan, who made that statement, has been consistent up to date. The video I played before I started this program, I intentionally play it for you to know the mindset of Mazen Nandekan. For some idiots who will come out and begin to tell you that Mazen Simon Ekpa is going out of line. As it stands today, it is only the Biafran government that is genuinely pursuing the freedom of Biafran people in a legal way. Not in the secret, in the open, before the whole world. Everyone is watching and seeing what is happening. Mazi Simon Ekpa, the Prime Minister of Biafra, Republic of Israel, and the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Biafra, is equal to the task. He has been very sincere from the very first day he joined this very struggle up to this time of restoration. And from the moment the mantle fell on him, to restore Biafra, it has never, ever been found wanted anywhere. He has never, ever been found wanted. He has made himself available, putting everything on the line, putting his career and his own life on the line for the sake of Biafra. And he has made it clear. Just like Mazen Nandekan promised and said, it's either Biafra or that he will keep pursuing and pushing for Biafra, or he dies in the process. Mazen Simon Ekpa made the same promise. He said, instead of him not to bring Biafra, that he will turn to a beast and Biafra will still come. Mazen Simon Ekpa made it clear that he is not going to hand this struggle over to anybody. He has come to finish what our eternal leader, Dim Odumegwu, started. These two statements are very different. Every one of them have its own anointing. But I want you to pay very good attention. The speech of Mazen Nandekan, which I played before, he said, it is either Biafra or that. And he was asked if he go to war. He said he's not going to war, that he is going to continue to push for Biafra until death. That was his promise. And Mazen Nandekano from that moment to date has never stopped. When you say pushing for Biafra and not going for warfare, it is a clear statement. Just like our Prime Minister said, our Prime Minister also made a statement and said, we will never go into a conventional warfare with Nigerian government. Remember, Mazen Nandekano said he will not go to war. But that same Mazen Nandekano established the Eastern Security Network to protect and defend Biafra land. So don't get confused. Don't get confused. Mazen Nandekano established the Eastern Security Network to protect and guide our people in the farms. We saw them. Even though he said he's not going to war. When someone says he's not going to war, it doesn't mean that the person is not going to defend himself. As you all know, what the Biafran people are doing today is self-defense on different fronts. We are not going for war. We have not started going for offensive. We are still on self-defense. But also remember that the best form of defense is what? Attack. So when you see the Liberation Army of Biafra go for attack, don't be surprised. I am taking time to explain this thing so that some of you that the Janjaweed are going to confuse or the IPOB in Nigeria are confusing. You don't get confused. The IPOB in Nigeria, they are no longer following Mazen Nandekano. Even they have never ever been following Mazen Nandekano from their attitude. They have always had their own mindset of being a political pressure group. That has been their intention. Remember, that was why Uchemefo left. Uchemefo was clamoring for IPOB to be transformed to a political pressure group. And Mazen Nandekano said no. He pulled out and thought he's going to end it all. Today, nobody knows if he exists or not. The IPOB that Mazen Nandekano left, the idiotic people who call themselves Department of Sabotua took it and handed it over to the governors. And governors begin to use them for politics. Every one of us had, when the governor of Anambra State announced how he is working with the IPOB Nigeria, by the way. You also had their confession, how they handed ESN over to the governors. They confessed about it. Why they were doing all these things. Mazi Simon Ekpa, the commander-in-chief of the Armed Forces of Biafra today, and the Prime Minister, continue to listen to the Biafran people, continue to guide Biafran people, and continue to make sure that Mazen Nandekano remains relevant. They tried everything they can to put Mazen Nandekano behind the back. But our Prime Minister said no. Today, you can see what is happening. They cannot relax in this their propaganda. They are still pushing propaganda, deceiving those who are not paying attention, those who don't have information, the ignorant ones. But as for the intelligent Biafrans that are paying attention, they can't be deceived. You cannot be deceived if you apply your common sense to every single lie they are going to tell you. The restoration of Biafra is signed and sealed. All we are preparing is on how to defend our land, and that land must be defended. Anywhere you are, make your contribution to see that Biafra is defended. We all had our Prime Minister on X broadcast yesterday. His information was clear and direct. He exposed some things that none of us know about. Every time our Prime Minister comes online, he makes exposition that none of us know about. If you have not watched that very program, I am going to post it after this program so that you can watch. My fellow Biafrans, the time for freedom is now, not tomorrow. I want you to also remember that the Prime Minister, the Supreme Leader of IPOB, Mazen Nandekano, will be going to court. I hope you remember. He will be going to court this month, and we are expecting to see him. Before he goes to court, you know that the media will always continue to push the narrative. They will continue to push their lies. They continue to confuse those who are confused, continue to say what they want. And we are following them up. At this juncture, I am going to share one of the debates, or should I call it a program that was held in one of the stations. Let us listen to them and hear what they have to say. And then we will follow them up and digest and also interject where we can. Let's listen and hear.
Still VOP this morning. The indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, has raised concerns over the deteriorating health of its detained leader, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, urging the Bola Tinubu administration to release him immediately. Kanu, who is held at the Department of Services DSS facility in Abuja, is reportedly in poor health. IPOB warned that continued detention could have severe consequences. In a statement on Monday, IPOB's Media and Publicity Secretary Emmanuel Powerful emphasized that Kanu's detention violates court ruling. The Nigerian...
It is so funny that these people continue to report a comment from an invisible human being, somebody who do not have address or whatever. That is how you know a fraudulent group. The person they call him Powerful. How many of you? How many times have these media people gone to interview him or see his picture face to face or see him on video? But yet, they continue to push that propaganda to promote an evil act. But as for us, we don't care. We know the spokesperson of Biafra people. It is our Prime Minister, Mazi Simon Ekpa, the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Biafra. Him and him alone is in charge in Biafra territory.
Appeal Court had discharged and acquitted him of all charges, while the Supreme Court ruled that his abduction from Kenya was illegal. IPOB accused Nigerian authorities, the judiciary, and some Southeast politicians of plotting to eliminate Kanu. In a related document, Simon Ekpa responded to the Nigerian Army's call for Amnesty International and the International Criminal Court, ICC, to act against IPOB. Ekpa announced that a 35-page summary of human rights violation against Biafran people has been compiled, with over 500 pages set to be presented to the ICC. We have with us in the studio this morning to help x-ray this topic, we have Dr. Deji Omoshala, Doctor of Political Science. Good morning, Dr. Deji.
Thanks for having me.
Good to have you in today's show. And right beside him is Barrister Asim Adams. He's also a legal practitioner and a social and political analyst. Good morning, Barrister Adams.
Good morning to you. Good morning, Nigeria.
Good to have you in today's show. We have IPOB back again on a radar on the table of discussion this morning. This is not the first time Nnamdi Kanu's health is deteriorating, and this is not the first time that Emma Powerful and Nnamdi Kanu's counsel have been talking about his, release. Barrister Adams, I would like to start with you as a legal...
Made for his release, he said no. That the judiciary made for his release, he said no. That the judiciary or the judicature, was going to, handle the issue. That whatever they say, that the government of the day will obey the ruling or judgment. Now, they went through gamut of trial, terrorism, etc. Even though we found out that those charges were defective, as it were, some were, removed or discharged, and new ones brought. Then, culminating all of this, the Court of Appeal, said and gave a judgment that Nnamdi Kanu was illegally, extradited from Kenya to Nigeria and ordered for his immediate release. That was the Court of Appeal decision on that particular matter. So we were thinking that the moment the court ordered the release of, a suspect, that based on the fact that Section 36 of 5, says that every Nigerian that is accused of any offense, criminal for that matter, is presumed innocent until the contrary is proved. And in this particular case, the state could not prove the case against Nnamdi Kanu, and the Court of Appeal, in my own opinion, gave a very valid judgment and said, release this man. So I was thinking that for the sake of justice, equity and good conscience, that the young man would have been released almost immediately from, custody, at least to breathe the air of Nigerian freedom. But they kept him for another 14 days while trying to ferret for further evidences, to prosecute him and or appeal that particular judgment. Now, finally, they went to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court found out, and they agreed that this young man was, not rightfully, extradited from Kenya to Nigeria. And one of the reasons, which for me is an aberration in constitutional democracy, of which Nigeria belong and we pledge, is that when you say that the rights of a Nigerian, could or can be suspended when there is issues of security, it means that the government will now have that rights allodial, albeit illegally, to detain a Nigerian man and suspend his fundamental human rights in the whole of Chapter 4 of the 1999 Constitution, that he does not have any reason to draw from those rights. For me, it's an aberration. And at the end of the day, they said the matter should go back for retrial, at the lower court. Now, my problem is this. That is not a problem because it's a procedural thing. But for days and weeks also, the Supreme Court, even when the lawyers to Nnamdi Kanu made the application for the CTC of that particular Supreme Court judgment, I'm telling you that the registrar of court, covertly or overtly, intentionally or on purpose, I don't know why, they delayed, releasing the certified true copy of, the judgment or ruling of that particular court. For me, that is not the standard when you talk about justice. So now, on the plank and periscoping, what I'm trying to say is that look at what is going on right now. Even in murder cases, because what they are charging Nnamdi Kanu for is terrorism and whatever treason or whatever the case may be. The highest, offense in the land is murder. And when lawyers, go before the court, and even in a murder case, and say, look, we have on evidence, this suspect is in your own cell, or whatever the case may be. Use your doctors. Come and check if he has terminal illnesses, etc., as the case may be. On that ground alone, if it's found that this particular suspect is in, this one has been set free forever, that means temporary, freedom for him to breathe on Nigeria of freedom, as case may be. So we look at this whole procedure. For me, is not sweating.
All right.
And I don't really understand the peace society about it.
Barrister Adams, for that overview of everything. Really do appreciate that one.
Thank you.
Dr. Omoshola, I've asked this question before, and I'm going to ask you now. The things playing out in the Southeast, the activities of Simon Ekpa, the continued incarceration, don't you think, or some people are of the opinion, rather, let me put it this way, some people are of the opinion that the continued activities of Simon Ekpa is making it difficult for the Nigerian government to finalize its accusations, allegations on the man Nnamdi Kanu and set him free. Do you share this opinion? If not, what's your opinion?
Now you understand why they are talking all this trash. Why this discussion of Mazen Nnamdi Kanu is because Mazen Nnamdi Kanu is coming to court this month. And anytime Mazen Nnamdi Kanu is coming to court, they will create a narrative. They will create a narrative to shift the decision of the lawyer or decision of the judge. They will begin to shape the decision of the judge through their media. And that is what you see happening. You see the discussion that is ongoing about Mazen Nnamdi Kanu. So let us listen to them and hear what they have to say.
Well, first, let's establish some basic facts. When we were introducing this topic, a lot was going on in my mind. And some of the things going on in my mind is, first, the man, Nnamdi Kanu, he's been in this detention for years. So first, I was thinking that, could he be sick truly? Then I was beginning to imagine if you put a man in solitary confinement for that long, a man that, if you look at the personality of Nnamdi Kanu, an outspoken guy, a man that likes government. So you now look at it that those that are in prison, that are not even regarded as the enemies of Nigeria, what kind of condition are they being subjected to? So when you establish that, you now look at it that if you are now being seen or presumed as an enemy of Nigeria, you can now imagine the kind of condition that you will be subjected to. For instance, if we look at ordinary NYSC, which I know most of us have passed through, our corpers, graduates, the condition they are subjected to in some of those camps makes you imagine what prison will be like. And like I said, those that are not enemies of the state and Nnamdi Kanu that is perceived by the Nigerian state as its enemy. Now to Simon Ekpa. What first comes to mind is this man Simon Ekpa, right? They are trying to fight for the restoration of Biafra. And the first thing that should come to mind is it's either the ideology of Biafra is so strong that it has refused to die, or the Nigerian state has acted so unjustly that the soul of Biafra keeps rising. Because if you look at it, when this Biafra occurred, looking at Simon Ekpa, you may want to ask yourself that, how old was Simon Ekpa when this Biafra war, when it occurred? Between 1967 to 1970, how old was Simon Ekpa? Even if you look at Nnamdi Kanu, you want to ask yourself that, how old is this man when this thing occurred? So for this issue to have come out strong till this present day, it means that something is fundamentally wrong as a country, that perhaps should we begin to investigate whether the injustice of Nigerian government has failed to bury the ideology of Biafra. Because if you look at the country, it is a marriage, and anything that pertains to ideology doesn't die quick. In fact, if it remains just one person, the thing will naturally resurrect again. Because Biafra has moved away from being a wish. It has moved away from, first it was an expression, then it becomes a wish. You can go to the realm of strong wish before it becomes an ideology. And for something to become an ideology, that means that it has been embraced over time. So the thing is, the attitude of Simon Ekpa in this case, I believe that you cannot sell when there's no market, right? You cannot sell when there's no market. So if Simon Ekpa is thriving, the Nigerian state, first of all, needs to look at it that first, do we want the Igbo community amongst us? Are they the kind of people that we want in the committee of states that forms Nigeria? If yes, you cannot be in a marriage and there will be a kind of like non-fair play for you to be part of a match. The first thing is you want to look at it, I will be able to get a fair deal in this match, that if I score a goal, it will be counted as offside, right? So the thing is, you need to look at it first. When you now look at it, that means that by addressing some of the core issues that make Biafra an ideology, you are naturally demarketing Simon Ekpa. But when your actions, when your attitude speaks to, for instance, how was Simon Ekpa when this Biafra something happened? And now, let us look at it that Simon Ekpa,
born at that time.
yes, now, Simon Ekpa is growing old. Let us look at the kids of nowadays, those in primary school, secondary school, and we look at them now. What is happening? What are we building in them? Are we building this particular perspective that, there is really an injustice? Because in a Nigerian country, whereby bandits are being bribed, bandits are being given, treatment that the ordinary legitimate citizen are not being given. Okay. In a country whereby terrorists are being pardoned, you know, ask yourself
Sorry, please. Now that you mentioned that, let me just draw a comparison now between Nnamdi Kanu's issue and that of Sunday Igboho. Help me understand a possible difference that would make one, one is let off the hook and the other still in detention.
Well, the thing is, if I look at the issue of Nnamdi Kanu and Sunday Igboho, in comparison, they have, to my mind, more similarities than differences. In the sense that, let us look at the major thing that Sunday Igboho is asking for. Sunday Igboho is asking for a Yoruba nation, which is a secession of the people of Yoruba origin and culture from the corporate existence of Nigeria. What is Nnamdi Kanu asking for? Nnamdi Kanu is asking for restoration of Biafra, which is an extraction of the Igbo corporate existence from Nigeria as it is presently constituted. That is a similarity, right? Now, if you look at it from that perspective, which is the kind of like the biggest crime. If you accuse, for instance, if you accuse you, let us just, see it as a sane issue. Let us just, see it as a sane country, right? So if that statement is anything to go by, you see that firearms has been displayed against Sunday Igboho. So that's why I said that there are more similarities than differences. So you now imagine that, and that is one of the things I felt that the president should have tried to address, especially because of the kind of support that the Igbo clan has tried to show during this.
So why would one be let off the hook and the other is still in detention? Was it as a result of a clamor by fellow kinsmen or lack of that?
Well, the thing is, I think it is largely based on interest. I think it is based on the interest right now. No, the interest of the Nigerian government itself. I think, for instance, if I see you as a greater threat than her, then I may want to consider that, okay, should I release her and still leave you or still watch you? Then another thing is, sorry, this is very important. If you look at, you can't erase the kind of like advocacy that is being brought forward by the key leaders in the Southeast. For instance, when the election was being held, right, election is a kind of like a give and take exercise, a quid pro quo kind of thing. So what was the negotiation of leaders of the Southeast? What was the commitment that they were deriving from the candidate of the APC and PDP at that time? So if not much advocacy is being done for him, for instance, the Sunday Igboho issue, you see Yoruba traditional rulers, monarchs, even politicians, professors that are kind of like advocating for him that, oh, the injustice that was meted out, the kind of like anthrocentricism, nepotism that was meted out during the Buhari administration was what led this guy that naturally, if you are not a bastard, if you see your people being killed and you see something that you can do to save your people, there's no way you can just fold your arms and see your ancestral land being taken. So one had you won't compare the kind of like advocacy that helped Sunday Igboho. You won't compare it to that of Nnamdi Kanu. And I must say something. That Sunday Igboho appears to be a little bit, he knows how to play a little bit of hide and seek than Nnamdi Kanu. That is one thing I discovered.
Okay.
Yes. Now, Sunday Igboho, he knows that some of these Yoruba leaders are complicit in some of the things that are happening. But when he goes to their palace, he will still prostrate. He did not detach himself from the leadership culture, one. Then the leadership class. He didn't detach himself from them. He will say, oh, Baba mi Ladoja, Baba mi Oba Kinikon, which means that my father Ladoja, my father the king of something. So he didn't detach himself from that existing political class. But if you look at that of Nnamdi Kanu, he sometimes detach himself from the existing political. For instance, one of the things you can do to get the wrath of Nigerian politicians is if you begin to talk about politics and act politically in such a way that it doesn't favor them. For instance, if you are saying there will be no election, you begin to kind of like go into their battle because to them, election is an oxygen in nostrils. Power is something that they don't joke with. But on the part of Sunday Igboho, he didn't detach himself from that existing political class, and that is what led some of them to kind of like advocate for him, and that's what I think Nnamdi Kanu is somehow like.
Barrister Adams.
One minute. Barrister Adams, let me come to you on this. In your intro, you said something about, you always made reference to extradition of Nnamdi Kanu from Kenya. As a legal practitioner, I want you to make sense of it to Nigerians. What is the difference between extradition and rendition? Because from my layman's knowledge, I think they are two different things.
Thank you. Now, extradition is one, when you have a synergy between two countries, first of all, like Kenya and Nigeria should have, a pact or treaty that if a criminal from Kenya enters Nigeria and we, the Kenya people, need that particular criminal and face trial in Kenya, that we will contact your government. You understand the point now? Following your local laws here, perfect it, and take that particular person, down to Kenya for us. Extraordinary rendition is this. You didn't follow those protocols. Okay. You didn't, contact the AG of the Federation of Kenya. You did not even contact maybe the DSS of that particular country. Then you now entered that Kenya with mercenaries to now begin to track that criminal, Nigerian criminal as we call him. Then you got him somewhere and abducted him, just like kidnapping.
Okay.
That was why you see in the Umaru Dikko affair, what happened was this. The British government, if they had a pact in Nigeria or treaty with Nigeria for repatriation of criminals, etc., extraditing criminals between both countries, what would have happened is that Umaru Dikko wouldn't have been put in a crate and brought to Nigeria. What would have happened is that the British government would have, worked in synergy with Nigeria, track Umaru Dikko with their police, whatever, and bring him down to Nigeria here.
So that's what I wanted us to establish, so that people out there will understand that Nnamdi Kanu was not extradited, that he was rendition, which is an illegality. Which is an illegality. And the courts in Nigeria have said
so, because they didn't follow that particular procedure.
That said, I also like to, as a lawyer, I want you to tell Nigerians, is it proper for Nnamdi Kanu to be in the custody of the DSS, or should he be remanded in a correctional facility?
I hope you are paying attention to these questions. These questions are very, very important for you to understand the persecution of Mazen Nnamdi Kanu as he is coming to the court very soon. Every one of us must pay attention to these informations. They are very, very important. If you must understand what is going on, pay attention. We are bringing you information from our source and also from their conventional media. Do not be distracted or deceived. Let us listen to them.
Good. That's a very wonderful question. Now, do you know that the Nigerian state, for which we have a synergy between two countries, first of all, like Kenya and Nigeria should have, a pact or treaty, that if a criminal from Kenya enters Nigeria and we, the Kenya people, need that particular criminal and face trial in Kenya, that we will contact your government. You understand the point now? Following your local laws here, perfect it, and take that particular person, down to Kenya for us. Extraordinary rendition is this. You didn't follow those protocols. You didn't, contact the AG of the Federation of Kenya. You did not even contact maybe the DSS of that particular country. Then you now entered that Kenya with mercenaries to now begin to track that criminal, Nigerian criminal as we call him, then you got him somewhere and abducted him, just like kidnapping.
Okay.
That was why you see in the Umaru Diko affair, what happened was this. The British government, if they had a pact with Nigeria or treaty with Nigeria for repatriation of criminals, etc., extraditing criminals between both countries, what would have happened is that Umaru Diko wouldn't have been put in a crate and brought to Nigeria. What would have happened is that the British government would have, worked in synergy with Nigeria, track Umaru Diko with their police, whatever, and bring him down to Nigeria here.
So that's what I wanted us to establish, so that people out there will understand that Nnamdi Kanu was not extradited, that he was rendition, which is an illegality. Which is an illegality. And the courts in Nigeria have said
so, because they didn't follow that particular procedure.
That said, I also like to, as a lawyer, I want you to tell Nigerians, is it proper for Nnamdi Kanu to be in the custody of the DSS, or should he be remanded in a correctional facility?
Good. That's a very wonderful question. Now, do you know that the Nigerian state for which we belong, there's what we call the Constitution of Nigeria. Lawyers refer to the Constitution as the font et origo, that is the source and origin of all our happenings and laws that we have today.
The ground norm.
The ground norm. Now, the moment a suspect is brought before the court make pronouncement and say, let this man be in custody. The court has to make that pronouncement, say, prison custody, or let him remain at the police custody. But it's very rare in situations where I've seen in practice, where courts will say the man or the suspect be remanded in the custody of his accusers. It's very rare. I've never seen that for a very wide period of time. But it does happen. I'm not saying it does not happen. But the normal thing, the normal is that Nnamdi Kanu, in my own and legal take, would have been in the correctional center. And we have been wondering, and we hope that this hazard will be cured by the lower court that is about to begin the trial. Because Justice Binta Yanko, that was trying this particular matter, the lawyers for Nnamdi Kanu raised this particular point, that you cannot submit and surrender the suspect to his accusers. Rather, the suspect, the court, having made this pronouncement a proclamation that the proper place that he should be kept in custody and cared for is the correctional center. For instance, in the correctional center, he has access to his family, he has access to his lawyers, he has access to the kind of food he wants to eat, he has access to interact with other prisoners, the people in the custody, whatever the case may be. He also has access to good medical care that is, verifiable.
So why is this still kept at DSS?
That is what I wanted. That is the problem. Barrister Asim says you have established that it was a extraordinary rendition to Nigeria, which is an illegality. Yes. Now, the DSS is also keeping him against the orders of the court.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. That is what we are saying. If you listen to my
which is another illegality.
Illegality is on top of an illegality. If you listen to my opening statement, I said that I believe and I hope that this court, the lower court, that the matter has been referred for, trial, if they begin that particular trial, that particular judge will make an order immediately that we call consequential order and say, look, if I will start this matter, please, this man should be taken to custody in the correctional center for him to have proper care. At the DSS, a gulag that he is, he does not have access to his lawyers. Under international conventions of people's detained, people's rights, both the United Nations and African Charter, of which Nigeria is a treaty and signatory to that particular treaty, that all prisoners, all people that are remanded, what needs to be done is that they should be treated with care. They should be treated as if they are human beings. The only thing denied them is freedom of movement, as the case may be. So that detention at the gulag or the DSS is an illegal one for me. One
last thing before we move on. Do you see Nnamdi Kanu as a criminal or as a political prisoner?
Nnamdi Kanu, in my own, take, is not a criminal.
I want you to pay attention to every single question asked. This program is important as we approach the case of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. He is going to be in the court this very month we are in. That is why this program is important. You have seen from the explanation of this man, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, number one, has no business being in the DSS. He has not committed any crime. He is innocent. The case of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and the trial, the way they're going to, in fact, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has no case to answer in Nigeria because he was extraordinarily renditioned to Nigeria. And before ever you can try Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, you must first of all clear that issue of extraordinary rendition. You must have to explain to the world, how did you bring Mazi Nnamdi Kanu to Nigeria? Even their court have testified to that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has no case, but they have continued to hold an innocent man. This is why our Prime Minister is not stopping in whatever he's doing. And we will continue to support Mazi Simon Ekpa in everything and continue to pursue the restoration of Biafra until Biafra is restored. When we say it is only the Biafran people that can guarantee the freedom of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, you are going to understand at the end of this very program. You will understand that the freedom of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is in our hand, not in the hand of anybody. That is why when you see this idiotic IPOB in Nigeria talking against Mazi Simon Ekpa, people who has nothing to offer, they can't take any action, internationally, locally, or otherwise. But they continue to distract and destroy the image of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. We will not allow them. Mazi Simon Ekpa is leading us to Biafra. And I bet you Biafra is going to guarantee the freedom of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, whether you like it or not. Let us pay attention and listen to the debates that is going on their own media for you to understand the situation as Mazi Nnamdi Kanu approaches the court.
Illegality is on top of an illegality. If you listen to my opening statement, I said that I believe and I hope that this court, the lower court, that the matter has been referred for, trial, if they begin that particular trial, that particular judge will make an order immediately that we call consequential order and say, look, if I will start this matter, please, this man should be taken to custody in the correctional center for him to have proper care. At the DSS, a gulag that he is, he does not have access to his lawyers. Under international conventions of people's detained, people's rights, both the United Nations and African Charter, of which Nigeria is a treaty and signatory to that particular treaty, that all prisoners, all people that are remanded, what needs to be done is that they should be treated with care. They should be treated as if they are human beings. The only thing denied them is freedom of movement, as the case may be. So that detention at the gulag or the DSS is an illegal one for me. So,
one last thing before we move on. Okay. Do you see Nnamdi Kanu as a criminal or as a political prisoner?
Nnamdi Kanu, in my own, take, is not a criminal. Nnamdi Kanu is not a criminal, I repeat. Nnamdi Kanu is exercising and expressing his rights. Our constitution, even though I know that under section 2 sub 3 says that Nigeria should become an indissoluble and indissoluble entity, for me, I don't understand what that means. You can't force people to come together. But since it is there and it has not been tinkered with or maybe amended, as case may be, it becomes the law. But it does not preclude me from having my expression. For instance, section 39, 40, etc. as case may be, I have the right, the freedom of expression. Under section 35, 26, liberty, etc. as case may be. Then to add, like I normally say, Maggi in the soup, you now have the conventions, treaties that Nigeria entered into by virtue of our constitution. They signed those treaties on human and people's rights to assert and say, we want to be like this. we want this to be. I don't think I want to be part of this country. I believe that the Biafran nation should be. Let it be carved out. Can a referendum be done? And which he has been clamoring for. He has said, IPOB has said, we are not using force. It is a referendum that we are asking for. And who are those who conduct the referendum? They said the referendum is not in our constitution. But I find an aberration and sickening that we don't have a referendum, but under Section 68, than the Constitution of Nigeria, you have a referendum to recall a senator, you have a referendum to recall the House of Reps member, you have a referendum to recall a House of Assembly member of your state if they are not performing well. Why is there no clause or section that calls for referendum that Nigerians can sit down peacefully, civilly, and ask the National Assembly to say, do a referendum so that we can decide the Yoruba nation, the Bohos of this world can go their way peacefully, the Biafrans of this world can go their way peacefully, the Edo people of this world can go their own way peacefully. But I have found out, treading back to what and the issues you raised, why there was differences in release here and there was no release here, it is because of our constitution, which was intentionally mad and cajoled, with landmines and lacunae that people can come in and look at. For instance, let me tell you Section 10 of the Nigerian Constitution, why we're having this problem and why we're saying that Nigeria is not a nation of itself. It's not a nation, an entity. It's a country, like I was described, as a geographical expression, but not a nation state. You understand? We don't have those things. Section 10. Constitution says that Nigeria shall be a secular state, that no state shall prefer or prefer religion. But is that true? It is not true. If it is true, why do we have Sharia? Why is it that Kano House of Assembly can make laws for the governance of the state through Sharia government? Why do we have Sharia courts that do what? Do what now? Are they not going to determine issues of offenses, criminal etc. in the Sharia courts of law and justice? And you say that is a country of one nation? No. Why do we have in the northern part the Criminal Procedure Code, and in the southern part we have Criminal Procedure Act? And let me tell you, Nigerians today, that the reason why a man like Wadume, a terrorist, a kidnapper, and a man that was adjudged by court to be a killer, even killing policemen on uniform, army men on uniform, was taken to court, sentenced, and within 2 days he's out of whatever I say, he has served his sentence. Today is a chief in his place because the Criminal Procedure Code of the northern part allows that kind of a thing. But in the southern part, where the Criminal Procedure Act, if Wadume were to come from here, what is the difference between himself and that kidnapper Evans that is still in detention? See the prison custody today. What is the difference? Is it not what they did? Even as it is, Evans is not even murder or did one or two things. The reason why now the Kano might not get, look at all these things we're talking about, these niceties we're trying to paint situations here. The reason why he might not, be out of prison for a very long time is because of this dichotomy of CPC and CPA. And they are using that to go down, Nnamdi Kanu in detention, and it's so sad for me. Okay. I do not want to go further than that. Let me not eat time. All right,
Dr. DG, we also saw the Major General Onyema Nwachukwu writing to ICC and Amnesty International about the happenings of IPOB. And, he was of the opinion that the whole thing that the IPOB team has been committing in the Southeast should be looked into by the international body. Do you think that this is going to, work in any way against IPOB, given the fact that, from what Barrister Asim said, Nigeria itself has in so many ways also, default according to the International Court of Conduct?
Well, first, if I can add to what the barrister said, whereby the penal code and the criminal code, right? Try to situate how some people in the north are being persecuted while it is against people in the south. For me, if I take the south as an entity itself, then I would look at it that even in the south, it depends on where you come from. So I think it's beyond north-south. Because even if you look at it in the south itself, just like a kind of like exclude the north, just look at it only in the south, you will see that differences,
right, I would like
preferential treatment is also there.
Can you please just hold on to your thoughts? Let me take a break and we'll be right back.
That they were kind of like in detention, and Nnamdi Kanu.
All right, thank you very much. We welcome you back to the program. Well, Doctor, you may proceed with your train of thoughts there.
Okay, so as I was saying that, looking at the penal code and the criminal code, that even in the south itself, let us imagine that Nigeria is only made of the southern part of Nigeria, which is the south-south, the southeast, and the southeast, and the southwest. That the kind of discrimination is even apparent, because if you look at Sunday Igboho, he's from the south, and Nnamdi Kanu is from the south. Their case has been treated differently. This man that established Oduduwa University, right, that was alleged to have been involved in ritualism and killing, right? Look at the way his case was being treated. The Nigerian government kind of handled it, and somebody like, I'm trying to remember this man now. If you look at the likes of Clifford Orji, some of them are that they were kind of like in detention for so long. So I think it's beyond a north-south thing, because even in the south itself, that particular injustice it kind of exists, whereby if you are from a particular tribe, the way you will be treated will be kind of like quite different. And for me as a political scientist, you cannot rule out the political hand in all this. And maybe if the Southeast are being fairly treated in the political arena, that they are being given that fair chance to also occupy the #1 seat of the country, just maybe we could have more fairness. Because how do you justify it to me that the South-South, the Niger Delta, right, comprising of the oil producing states, which are mainly in the South-South, that the South-South geopolitical zone, we have 6 states, right? And the Southeast, we have 5 states, whereas Bayelsa is a very small state. Are you saying that you cannot look at Enugu, Anambra, Imo, and all these states and carve out a state out of it to make sure that there's that balance, that it is 666, across board? So if you look at the inadequate political representation at the topmost level of the country, we can also adduce some of these injustices to it. Now, the international community that you raised about, one thing that I have come to see over time is, let's be sincere with ourselves. If we want to be realistic, you see, the corporate existence of Nigeria as it is now, the Nigerian government, the political cabal, the ruling elite, they really don't respect anything within Nigeria. Let's be realistic with ourselves, right? But one of the things they respect is that comes from beyond Nigeria, especially from the West, So when clamor begins to come from there, Nigerian government begins to kind of like sit tight, begins to kind of like adjust. And that is why I believe that when you are clamoring for something like Biafra, right, it has to be more of an intellectual clamor than if the international community that you raised about, one thing that I have come to see over time is, let's be sincere with ourselves. If we want to be realistic, you see, the corporate existence of Nigeria as it is now, the Nigerian government, the political cabal, the ruling elite, they really don't respect anything within Nigeria. Let's be realistic with ourselves, right? But one of the things they respect is that comes from beyond Nigeria, especially from the West, you know. So when clamor begins to come from there, Nigerian government begins to kind of like sit tight, begins to kind of like adjust. And that is why I believe that when you are clamoring for something like Biafra, right, it has to be more of an intellectual clamor than, if I can use the word, noise making, in the sense that you are coming to people to come and ask for something, and you know 101% that these people, they will not give you. So if you have lots of security guards, and I can't even get to your doorstep, and I'm clamoring, what is the essence of that clamor when I know that I cannot get what I want? So I believe that this Biafra agitation, let me tell you, the simple truth is, clamor from now till tomorrow. The Nigerian state will only harass you, will only intimidate you, will only kind of like humiliate you. But when your fight, when it is being fought intelligently, and your voice began to be heard right from abroad, for instance, what gave the Niger Delta a voice? When Isaac Adakaboro, when he went violent and he declared an independent state from Nigeria, the Nigerian state imprisoned him. During Biafra, they brought him out to fight on the part of Nigerian state. And after that, because they couldn't return him to prison, he died under mysterious, unexplainable circumstances. But look at when Ken Saro-Wiwa came, the reason why the world began to know and the injustice now became like of global knowledge was because he took that fight from Nigeria, he took it to the international scene, he took it to, you know, all this global civil society, all this international organization, and he expounded it, and the injustice of the injustice being perpetrated on the people of the Niger Delta was now being brought, and when it was made known internationally, it became obvious. So I would kind of like advocate a bit for a change of strategy, whereby the advocacy for Biafra take it to the international scene. Let it be more of that international advocacy, whereby the injustice being perpetrated to the people of the Southeast, which I believe that there's an injustice, and if I'm to limit myself to being a political scientist, I'll just tell you that why with the Southeast, I don't see any reason now why the Southeast we have 5 states. That is one of the injustices. So begin to take it to the international front where you can get a bit of more result, because on the local front, they will only intimidate you, they will only suppress you, and at the end of the day, the Nigerian state doesn't even respect court order.
Thank you.
Unfortunately.
Barrister, let me come to you. Just Dr. Deji talked about in the international community how we can play around the international community, and I want to ask you this question. In response to Nigerian Army's call, to the ICC and Amnesty International to investigate or whatever about Simon Ekpa, activities of IPOB in the Southeast. In response to that, Simon Ekpa also said that he has compiled that 5-page summary, of the inhumanity of the Nigerian army against the people of the Southeast, unarmed civilians and in the Southeast. Yes. Considering the fact that Simon Ekpa is a non-state actor as we know it now, and the treaty that established the ICC, he is not a state party, he is not a state signatory to it. Is there a possibility that the ICC will listen to Simon Ekpa and act on his submission to the ICC, if he ever does that?
I don't think, I'm not a political scientist or a student of international law, but what I'm trying to say today is conjectural. That is, it's like a guesswork. Now, but from articles I've read, I observed that the Simon Ekpa or whoever, or even Nnamdi Kanu or whatever the case may be, may not be held by the United Nations, whatever the case may be, or even the ICC, because they deal with nations, if I'm correct. Now, it's only a nation that can do that. Now, who are those to propagate, or maybe let the world know about the cry of Biafra? Like, if you know, I am from the south part of Nigeria, and Ken Sarowa, which you mentioned rightly just now, did not on his own go out to international bodies just like that. It was some countries that had sympathy with the Niger Delta, like the Canadian government, that propagated, the idea of the oil and whatever in the Ogoni land. And when Canada and some other countries came, they propagated and sensitized, the rest of the world to the suffering and the subjugation of the Niger Delta people. And that was how the United Nations now listened to them, because those particular bills were sponsored by nations that were in sympathy, with that. Now, under International Convention on Code, now, do you know why it's going to be very difficult for nations to begin to say they support openly, the struggle in in the Biafra land, as the case may be? The moment you do that, the Nigerian nation or government will see you as an enemy state that is trying to interfere in its internal affairs. And if you know what is the codes in the United Nations, the conventions they have, they talk about sovereignty and suzerainty. You understand? Sovereignty and suzerainty. So what they agree is, among the Magna Carta things that they agree by all nations who are signatory to the UN body, that you cannot interfere. You shall not. It's a shall. That is, you must not interfere in the internal affairs of a nation state to protect their sovereignty and their sovereignty, as the case may be. So it will be difficult for this South America now to begin to come and directly support the people of Biafra or any other secessionist group in Nigeria here. Because they will see that
the concept of responsibility. ability to protect in the case of genocide.
Yes, that is it. You have to prove it.
Against humanity is
and you have to prove it. And I'm very happy that a political scientist is here. How do you prove it? Do you know how you're going to prove it? If you go there without having a voice and a collection of nations who are going to echo and propagate that your idea, they might not listen to you. The politics in the international arena, we all know, even though I am not a player, but we know the politics that is going on there.
All right, then.
So if he has to,
you have something
yes,
to...
Yes, what I want to say is, you see, this issue of Ken Saro-Wiwa was what my doctoral thesis was on, right? So if the Southeast people, this is not interstate something that you want America to come and be advocating for. No. But there are global people society. Like I was trying to Google it, but I couldn't quickly lay my hands on it. There was one particular global civil society that was prominent at that time that Ken Saro-Wiwa ran to.
In Greenhouse also.
No, not Greenhouse. International something, People's Rights, something like that. There was one international civil society that Ken Saro-Wiwa ran to and presented his case. There were this, Ken Saro-Wiwa used money to make international publications. For instance, if people of the Southeast are making publication in, for instance, New York Times, do you know the impact of New York Times? If you make
ability to protect in the case of genocide.
Yes, that is it. You have to prove it.
Against humanity is
and you have to prove it. And I'm very happy that a political scientist is here. How do you prove it? Do you know how you're going to prove it? If you go there without having a voice and a collection of nations who are going to echo and propagate that your idea, they might not listen to you. The politics in the international arena, we all know, even though I am not a player, but we know the politics that is going on there.
All right, then.
So if he has to,
you have something
yes,
to...
Yes, what I want to say is, you see, this issue of Ken Saro-Wiwa was what my doctoral thesis was on, right? So if the Southeast people, this is not interstate something that you want America to come and be advocating for. No. But there are global people society. Like I was trying to Google it, but I couldn't quickly lay my hands on it. There was one particular global civil society that was prominent at that time that Ken Saro-Wiwa ran to.
In Greenhouse also.
Today, our Prime Minister, Mazi Simon Ekpa, have run to Finland. Just as you are suggesting, our Prime Minister is with the government of Finland. They are giving him the necessary protection. And he didn't stop there. Our lobbying group are lobbying in DC on behalf of Biafra. Global lobbying is going on. Other organizations have been met and talked to. Some of you are not paying attention because you are looking down on the Biafran struggle. But I bet you a whole lot of things are happening as we speak, and more are going to happen. Pay attention wherever you are watching. That's why I tell everyone to go and follow our Prime Minister on X. These people, if they are following our Prime Minister on X, they will know that he's on the right path. The Zoological Republic, they know that Mazi Simon Ekpa is on a different level. They know they have tried everything humanly possible to take him down. They couldn't take him down. They know he's on a different level and Biafra is coming. Everything this man is talking about, our Prime Minister is already there, doing more than he is talking about. And I bet you the restoration of Biafra is going to happen in a twinkle of an eye.
No, not Greenhouse, international something, People's Rights, something like that. There was one international civil society that Ken Saro-Wiwa ran to and presented his case. There were this, Ken Saro-Wiwa used money to make international publications. For instance, if people of the Southeast are making publication in, for instance, New York Times, do you know the impact of New York Times? If you make a publication in New York Times, it gets to where it is supposed to get to. And that global civil society.
We have made publication in places more than New York Times. We are already in Washington, D.C. as we speak. So many other international media have reported and written I've forgotten the name of one of those write-ups, one of the policymakers in US that wrote about this Biafra issue. These things are already happening. Expect the coming of Biafra any moment from now.
Societies, when they saw the level of rights, which he mentioned that responsibility to protect, it is a right under the social contract theory. When you submitted some of your rights to another right, that is one. Two, if you take the landmass of Bayelsa State, if you take the landmass of other states in the country, and you take it as a matter of right to advocate against the injustices in the Southwest, if you take the case of Sunday Igboho, and you take the case of Nnamdi Kanu, and you make a comparative analysis of it, and present it before some of these rights civil societies, you will make a significant progress if your argument resonates with them. If it is very clear. For instance, Ken Saro-Wiwa was able to prove the substandard modus operandi of Shell in US, UK, the Netherlands, and their operations in the Niger Delta, particularly Ogoniland. It was evidence. It was pictorial. You know, it was quite evidence. So this international civil society, I'm not talking of that. Maybe you think that, okay, you want Biafra and America will support you. No. The truth is that as a student of history, as a social scientist and political scientist, the corporate existence of Nigeria now, as it is, if you roll back to imperialism, slave trade, colonialism, and now bring it down to neocolonialism, you will see that the corporate existence of Nigeria now is what the West, the Western countries, the United States, the United Kingdom, and their allies, it is what they like. The corporate existence, if it splits, there are some things that Nigeria is tolerating in terms of treaties, in terms of, you know, all this agreement that Biafra as a country will not tolerate. That so Yoruba nation may tolerate it, but Biafra may tolerate it. So they will not.
The difference, I'm sorry, with you.
So it is by civil society advocacy.
What said is not that and true.
The country,
but the difference, in a second, yes, the difference between the Biafra struggle and the Niger Delta struggle is one. The Niger Delta struggle was on economic, whatever. So the international community bought into it. Environmental Rights Watch, you understand the point? Now they came into it because believing that they were talking about environmental degradation and remediation of an environment, not succession. Okay. You understand? So anybody can, you know, come in and intervene. You know, Holland, ETC will come in and intervene immediately now because it has to do with the environment. But when it talks about succession, that is what you say, you want to break away from a particular, you know, part of the country. That for them, they see it as war declared on them. The government do not see it. Even Abacha, you see the way it dealt with Saro-Wiwa, even when those people were intervening. So talk less, if they said they wanted to secede. Ogoni never said they wanted to leave Nigeria. They only said our environment should be remediated and let them have peace as case may be. But
all right, so
they are two different.
We're absolutely out of time. Okay. I would have loved you to respond, if you can, maybe, in about a minute. I hate to draw this comparison, but I'm forced to do it. Comparison between NKO Abiola, who was in detention from 90 to 98 when he passed on, and Nnamdi Kanu, who's been in detention from 2001 or thereabouts.
2015.
From when he was
back. When he came back to 2001. Yes. Oh yes. Okay.
Till now, it's almost the same number of years, almost the same number of years in detention. Do you think this government, this Nigerian government now, will make a martyr out of him? And if they do, how will that impact the struggle of IPOB in the Southeast?
No, the truth is,
in 2 minutes.
Please. Okay. Nigerian government is good at making people heroes. For instance, if you are kind of like advocating for something that in saner climes, that the way you'll be handled, they will make a hero out of you. They will look at the basis of your argument and see what they can do. But Nigerian government will make a very great hero out of you. For instance, Nigerian government is making Showore an hero. You know, every government usually have his own hero. If you look at it now, they are gradually making Showore a hero. They are making an hero out of it. So Nigerian government, for me, they are good at making hero. But the truth is that if anything happens to Nnamdi Kanu,
now he's completely off.
yes, just as MP Abiola died under mysterious circumstances, you know that what doused that tension of that MP Abiola was the Obasanjo era, whereby the military boys brought him, and the 1999 election was between Yoruba and Yoruba. So either which way, Yoruba will become president. And as it is now, do the people in the corporate existence of Nigeria, are they willing to allow that? Whereby if anything happens to Nnamdi Kanu that is advocating for Biafra, can you make, maybe during an election, it will be an all-Igbo candidate? The truth is no. So if anything eventually happens to this man, you would have strengthened, you would have fueled, you would have energized, you would have made a monster out of what is supposed to be an agitation. That agitation can be addressed in such a way that when you are preaching Biafra to an Igbo man, he won't even want to listen to you. In the sense that if Igbos are given fair political opportunity, an Igbo man that is striving, that is making sure that he got to his home, there is electricity, an Igbo man commits crime, is in prison, an Hausa man or a Yoruba man commits crime, they are in prison. There's equity, there's justice, there's fairness. I have come to realize that even president, Nigeria don't care who the president is. They just want good roads. They want electricity. They want water. So address some of this injustice in such a way that even if Biafra is preached to an ordinary Igbo man, it will not bind to. But what we have today, presently, if you release Sunday Igboho and you detain Nnamdi Kanu, you don't even need to preach Biafra to an ordinary Igbo boy. You don't need to preach it because he will naturally align with it based on what he himself is seeing around him.
Right, so basically, it is in the interest of the government to ensure that his health is taken care of.
Yeah, exactly. And sorry, if I may add, S.L. Zazaki, that Sheikh leader, right? The Nigerian state used DSS, the apparatus of the DSS, to escort him abroad on a medical treatment on the fear that if he should die in prison custody, Shiites are just going to turn out to another Boko Haram menace. Excuse me, sir. Why can't Nnamdi Kanu get that kind of treatment? Why can't you align with the government of UK and America in such a way that immediately they are bringing in, they know that somebody of interest to the Nigerian state is in that plane. Give him presidential treatment. These DSS guys that used to wear suits, collect visa for them. Don't let them always be dying in the sun. Let them sit down in the plane and let the air hostess come and meet them. Why not Jews? Is it a crime? No. See, let's be realistic with that. Is it a crime? So why can't you let the officers of the DSS to follow Nnamdi Kanu to his preferred facility? Because why? You see, the thing is that justice must be seen to be done. That is why when you are standing trial, the state is under responsibility to make sure that emotional loss is manageable or greatly reduced. Psychological loss is managed or greatly reduced. Even financial loss is managed or greatly reduced. But now, with what Nnamdi Kanu is going through, what if at the end of the day, he is found to be innocent? And in a country whereby political trial, the judiciary will be suspended for political trial, whereby during election period, you cannot get justice at the Supreme Court. If you're a businessman, if there's an industrial dispute, you cannot get justice. What is holding this trial for this long?
Well,
what if it's not? You guys will activate me, then you stop. You guys will activate me, then you stop.
No, the conversation continues.
The conversation will continue. Well, we must say, let's stay on as we get into another conversation.
My fellow Biafran, you have had this interesting conversation as Mazen Nnamdi Kanu is going to go to court. But I want you to know, anywhere you are watching this program, whether you are a Biafran or not Biafran, it is too late. The Biafran people are going home. We do not want presidency. We don't want restructuring. We don't want to be part of anything that has to do with the name Nigeria. We are already out of Nigeria. Get it and get it right. Everyone should know this. We are already out of Nigeria. Stop listening to some of this narrative. They are all false. we have done everything that needs to be done, and more is going on. Wherever you are as a Biafran, support the Biafran government. That is the only legitimate government that will see to your freedom, defense, and protection. If you have not started contributing or supporting, start it now before it is too late. Make haste while you still have time, because a time will come when you will no longer have that chance. The nemesis of Biafra remains Mazi Simon Ekpa. Mazi Simon Ekpa is the nemesis of the Biafran government. That is why they are crying right, left, and center, calling Amnesty International, calling whatever, calling ICC. They have never seen nothing yet. The declaration of the restoration of independence of Biafra is going to happen 2nd of December. And for them, those of them who continue to drag us into IPOB, we are not that organization called IPOB. What we are, Biafra Republic Government in Exile. We are a government. In case you don't understand it, hear it from our Prime Minister, Mazi Simon Ekpa, directly, for you to understand better.
They continue to write IPOB. We have made it very clear, and let me also use this opportunity to say it as it is for people, for them, because they continue to use IPOB. We are not IPOB as an organization. We are Government of Biafra in Exile and the Biafra de facto government in the homeland. We are not IPOB as an organization. IPOB is indigenous people of Biafra, and this government represents indigenous people of Biafra as a nation and as a people, not as organization. And that should be made very, very clear in case they were not understanding. So when we do something under this government, do not attach IPOB as an organization to it. I want to send this particular message to be very, very clear to the Nigerian state today, so that they should be addressing whatever we are doing properly to the Biafra government, not attaching IPOB to it. IPOB is a registered organization, and we have moved from there to a government, and that's where we are today. So stop linking us to an organization called IPOB, which is a Nigeria political pressure group. And today, they are no longer relevant in Biafra struggle, because you have used them for many years to kill our people, use them as sacrifice, only to put for a particular political interest. That particular time has ended. And if the Biafra agitation was a joke, we have made it a reality. It is no longer a joke. Under my leadership, it is not a joke. Thank you very much, everyone. God bless you.
Thank you so much for joining me on this program. I appreciate everyone that has participated. I thank you for being part of this program. We are going to be back again tomorrow to continue on this exposition. Before we go, let us hear the conclusion from our Prime Minister, Mazi Simon Ekpa.
Biafra will come. You either allow us to go in peace, or you are going to remain pieces and Biafra will still go. I come that Nigeria will end. I come that there will end the Usman Danfodio legacy. That legacy that every time they will be talking about Usman Danfodio, you will think that Usman Danfodio manufactured the aeroplane. You would think that Usman Danfodio manufactured a car, or he invented one Ihela machine or something like that. No. Usman Danfodio have a legacy for killing northern Nigeria, for killing Hausas, conquering them, and turn them into what you see today, Hausa Fulani. That is the legacy that Usman Danfodio brought to northern Nigeria. And today, they have Usman Danfodio University. That is what they continue that particular legacy. That is the reason why the Fulanis are killing innocent Christians in the northern Nigeria and the middle belt. It is to continue the Usman Danfodio legacy, and I am here to end it. I will end it. The end of Usman Danfodio legacy will start from this year. I am telling you, go and mark it. It will start from December 2nd. Once we exit Nigeria, that legacy is gone, completely gone, because they will not have any other place to conquer. Is it us that you are going to cross our border to come and start saying you want to conquer Biafra? We did not conquer us when we were in Nigeria. It's not going to be possible.
Love it.
Na so, anyị ala, ụmụ Biafra n'ala, anyị n'ala n'ala nsọ, ngwanụ ka anyị lawa. Aka ekpuchi ọnwa, aka ekpuchi ọnwa. We are unstoppable. We are indefatigable. Ebe anyị n'ala bụ obodo ọma. The 14 states of Biafra. Ngwanụ. Anyị ana. Ihe Chidere odego ya. Chidera anyị Biafra. Anyị alawala. Ma ndị nọ n'obodo oyibo, ma ndị nọ na Naịjirịa, ma ndị nọ na mba ụwa ọzọ dị iche iche. Obi kadawala. Ọ na-akpanyụ n'ugwu na ndịda. Oge ụnụ anyị erugo. Webe ọṅụ. Webe ọṅụ. Webe ọṅụ. Eluigwe na-enwe ọṅụ. Anyị apụọ. Anyị apụọ. Ana m anụ ya. Na so. Bayaba. Shuka. Waya. Na so we dey do am. Papa tiri ya nwayo. Mama gbara m egwu a. Waya. Ụmụaka ụmụ Biafra ụmụ ọma. Anyị ananụ. N'obodo ọma ahụ. Obodo kwere anyị na nkwa. Ekene otito dị n'ọbasi nke igwe. Eze chite ka abịa ama ụra. Onye na-etinye ụzọ ebe ụzọ na-adịghị. Odumala. Biafra, omen, ụna.